Hello, hockey fans. This is Sam Paolini doing another segment on the beginning of November, Tuesday, November 1st, 2011. Going to be going over all the games on the board today. We have 5 on the board, 3 last night. No reason to really talk about those games, I don't think. Pretty straightforward games. I think we can kind of get to those games, and I will probably recap those games next time those teams play. So try to keep this one short and get into as much as we can about these 5 games, and hopefully give you some ideas on what we can expect tonight and what we can kind of expect maybe going forward from some of these teams. So starting off first, we have Tampa Bay at Carolina. The 5 and 6 Lightning come on the road to take on the Hurricanes, who are 4 and 7. I think this is an important game for both these teams. Definitely an important game for the Lightning to keep some momentum. They won 4 of their last 5 games. Also important for the Hurricanes to try to get back on track after losing 4 of their last 5 games. So you have 2 teams possibly going in different directions here. A couple of injuries to note for this game that I think are really important, and I think you need to take into consideration these injuries before looking at this game. For Tampa Bay, Martin St. Louis and Ryan Malone, both are nursing some injuries right now. Both are questionable for the game tonight. They might not be in the lineup, and if neither of them are in the lineup, that's a significant blow to this offense. So if they can't go tonight, so I would definitely take a look and make sure that what their status is by game time to make sure you have all the information possible to before you put something on this game. So Tampa Bay did beat Carolina 5-1 in Carolina 3 weeks ago to start the season. Now they've won the past 3 games in Carolina by a score of 15-5. So a combined score of 15-5 in the last 3 games at Carolina for Tampa Bay. Interesting note here is that the series has gone over the total. 7 of the last 8 games, the only game that didn't go over was a push at the number of 6, which was the last game. So 7-0-1 in the last 8 games to the over. So I think we'll look for a little more offense in this game tonight, possibly. But also keep in mind about those injuries with St. Louis and Malone out of the lineup possibility. So moving on, Ottawa at Boston. Another 2 teams I think are going in opposite directions here to start the season. Ottawa coming in to Boston with a surprising 7-5 record against the Bruins, who are just 3 and 7 to start the season. So pretty amazing to see both these teams on the other side of the spectrum than we thought we might see them to start the year. Ottawa has won 6 straight games, and Boston has dropped their last 3 games. Mentioned yesterday in the video that sometimes we have to change our thinking and not get so stubborn in our thinking about certain teams, and we have to kind of give up our egos and say I was wrong about a certain team. And maybe that's how some people have to react to this Ottawa team, because it's definitely not the Ottawa team we thought they were going to be. We're a month into the season now. Most of the teams have played 10 games, and you get to see kind of who a team is for this first month here. And so I think we got a good feel on some of these teams. So I think it's time to give this Ottawa team some credit. It's time to give them some respect. And they had another great come from behind win against the Rangers on Saturday afternoon. You can make the argument that the Rangers imploded on themselves like I did, but you have to give credit to the Senators there. Down 4-1 on the road of the afternoon Saturday game. In the third period, you can just very well easily pack it up and just move on to the next game. But they showed a lot of fight in that game, sent it to a shootout and won in a shootout. So one big injury for them is the loss of Daniel Alfredsson. He was elbowed in the head by Volsky of the Rangers on Saturday afternoon. Very surprised we didn't see a suspension there. I thought Brendan Shanahan would give Volsky a suspension. If you saw the hit, it was pretty. It seemed like something that the NHL has been wanting to take out of the game. I mean, they keep talking about targeting the head, and if Volsky wasn't targeting the head there with an elbow, I don't know who is, because it seemed pretty blatant that he was going after Alfredsson there in that spot. So now Alfredsson's out. And now the Sens are without a key piece of their offense, and tonight especially, and you never know, going forward, we're not sure how long he's going to be out of the lineup. So Alfredsson's a big piece of that offense. A team that doesn't score or will have trouble scoring without him in the lineup. I think so. The sooner he can get back, the better for this team. We've spoken plenty of times about Boston's inability to score. this season. They've averaged just 2.1 goals a game to start the season. Montreal over the weekend, they really had no semblance of offense whatsoever. Their only goal in the 2-1 loss at home was when Montreal was in their defensive zone. They want to draw it back to the net, and Carey Price misplayed it, and it went in the net. So Boston really didn't even score that goal. So having trouble scoring, this Boston team. So it's tough to back a team, or tough to support a team who's A, having trouble scoring, and B, just it really has no sign of breaking out of it. I thought they would break out of it a little bit on the road against Montreal over the weekend. The next game on Saturday, they still only put up 2 goals, and one of them was in the last 2 minutes of the game. So I really want no part of this Boston team, and but at the same time, without Alfredson in the lineup, I'm hesitant to be siding with Ottawa here until they can prove to me that they can score without him in the lineup. It's also kind of a weird spot for Ottawa tonight. They play this is a standalone game for them on the road in Boston, and then they travel back home to play Montreal to start another homestand. So maybe a kind of a sandwich game here for Ottawa, where they're it's like I said, it's a 1-game standalone where they're going to have to go back and then play at home. So it might be a tough spot for them. But like I said, really want no part of Boston right now. Anaheim at Washington. Washington finally come back down to earth after winning their first 7 games. Lost their last 2 on the road in Edmonton and in Vancouver. Now they get an Anaheim team that's in the midst of a 7-game road trip, who's lost 3 of their first 4 games to start this road trip, and they've also lost 5 of the last 6 overall games. So the Ducks, they're definitely a team that lives and dies by their big guns with Getzlaf, Perry, and Ryan. And if those guys are not going, and if they're held off the score sheet, then that team really has a little depth to mount much of an offensive attack besides those guys. So it's always tough to predict a team if they're going to be able to break out and score. If the big guns are going to be able to score, because let's face it, if Anaheim has those guys going, they're a tough team to beat. If they don't, then they're a pretty easy team to contain. So not sure what we're going to get from them tonight. But and if Washington keeps that big, if they keep that big line off the score sheet, they really should have no problem at home with the amount of defense they have. One thing I am concerned a little bit about the Washington is coming off this road trip. Always hesitant to support a team who is coming off of a West Coast road trip, coming back for their first game at home. They may still have jet lag, may still have some tired legs. Their body clock might not be on the correct setting. So it's something to keep in mind as well. Washington power play is very hot. They've scored a goal, at least 1 goal in 7 of their first 9 games to start the season on the power play. But I think it also one big injury to Washington is this Mike Green injury. He got hurt against Detroit in that game before the weekend started, before they went and played Edmonton, and now he's missed the last 2 games, and they've lost the last 2 games. So something to keep in mind if you see this team struggling. Mike Green is a big piece of this puzzle, moving the puck from defense up to their forwards and kind of getting that offense going from the blue line back. So something to keep in mind there as well. Lots of question marks in this game. Will that big line score for Anaheim? Is Washington? Are their bodies right now after coming off that West Coast road trip? Is Mike Green, a bigger piece of this Washington puzzle than people think? A lot of question marks here. That's and so that's going to keep me away from this game, deciding who's going to win this one. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit's lost their last 4 games. Now they face a Minnesota team that beat them 1-0 on Saturday, despite the Red Wings did outshoot them 36-20 in that game. Pretty big shot differential, 36-20, even though they did lose 1-0. So interesting note here on the Wild. The last 7 games, the Wild have not scored more than 2 goals in any of those 7 games. So it's tough to win games scoring the most, at max of 2 goals a game, and it's tough to win games when you're scoring just 2 goals a game. So it's a big price today for Detroit at home. Not sure there's any other way to look at this game besides Detroit, from a side perspective. But at the same time, do you really want to be, laying that much with a team that has lost their last 4 games? Vancouver at Calgary, the last game on the board tonight. Huge win for Vancouver at home against Washington. on Saturday night. It was a Hockey Night in Canada game, so the country got to see the Canucks best the Capitals 7-4. And that's the kind of win a team like the Canucks need to get the ball rolling here. I think it was a big win for them. It gives them a little confidence going into this road trip here, where that's a 6-game road trip over the course of 11, 12 days, and so I think we'll probably see some decent prices on this Vancouver team during this trip. And these road trips are something that I look, as a player, I used to look forward to, and I think you see a team like San Jose who struggled a little bit to start the season at home, and wasn't really living up to the expectations the first week or two, and then they go on the road and they rattle off 5 straight wins and win 5 of their 6 on their road trip. So it's something to be said about a new team early in the season that's able to go out on the road, able to spend time with each other in the hotel, at dinners on the road. The ability to bond and to get close as a team is very important. And I think, we saw that with San Jose. I think we're going to see that with Vancouver on this road trip as well. They start off against Calgary here tonight. Calgary has won his last 2 games. They beat St. Louis 3-1. They beat Colorado, who I thought was in a bad spot there, 4-2. And so they're playing a little better defense. This Flames team giving up just 1.8 goals a game in their last 5. So I think we'll see a good battle here tonight. I think it's going to come down to defense and who takes advantage on the man advantage, as usual when you're going to get a tight game. But I think the Canucks do hold a big advantage. They definitely hold a big advantage in the previous meetings between these two teams. Last season, the Canucks won 5 out of the 6 meetings between Calgary and Vancouver, winning all 3 on the road in the old Saddle Dome. And going back even further, the Canucks have won 7 of the past 8 games. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at trends for tonight's games. That is it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow covering the games and talking about some of the games from, going over some recaps from tonight's games. But enjoy the games tonight. Good luck and goodbye.